Dr. Willie Lewis with the Imani Faith Health Initiative and Institute for Psychological Services. And today I would like to thank the pastor and congregation of Trinity United Methodist Church for inviting me to talk about such a topic today. So we're going to talk about stress, anxiety, and the virus, COVID-19 virus, if I may say it that way. And so when we talk about that, I do want to remind you that the word stress and anxiety has been around for many, many, many years. It is just that we are laying our eyes on this topic today because we find ourselves amid such a crisis, and I think probably affecting hundreds of persons within our state and thousands of people. I think it's 23,000 or more within the United States. So the topic of stress, I think first we should be clear about what it is. Stress is truly the action, the response to situations. And when we look at that, that could be anything. That could be a child running across the street. Anxiety then is our reaction to the stressful situation. But most important, we want to lay eyes upon the symptoms that we're faced with now. So if someone talked about stress, they're faced with symptoms of possibly hair loss, skin eruption, difficulty sleeping, panic attacks, difficulty breathing. But if you had the virus, did you know that you would have very similar symptoms? So now what is the difference between the virus symptoms and stress and anxiety? The main differences that you will see will be the coughing, the temperature, but you will still have difficulty breathing. So we do want to pay attention to the coughing as people are around. So now when we look at our anxiety, anxiety comes about because we do not, it's how we respond or react to the response. So anxiety becomes heightened when we feel out of control, when we feel that we cannot have power over the things that are around us. So I was saying earlier this morning that that comes about when there's a lowered belief, when we have very little to believe in. The most important thing is to believe in something higher than you. I'm not going to dictate to you what you need to believe, but I do know that I believe that there is a God and that we do not have control over everything that happens to us. I'm not going to say how you need to believe, but this is it. When you believe, your immune system tends to strengthen. So I'm going to lay out some things that we need to look at. We need to look at strengthening our immune system through responses that we have. Our upbringing can influence that, many things that we think. And we know that our beliefs, our faith, and how we respond to our family and circumstances in the community can either decrease or increase our response to stress and anxiety. So I'm going to ask you a question. You can choose. You can choose to decide to be well, or you can choose to decide to go to the weakness and be ill. So you know that if you decide to go to be well, you then equip yourself with the strengths that have been given you. And you respond to those strengths in the moment, in the time, mindfulness, not 3 weeks ahead and not behind. Because when you're looking at the virus and you're worried about what's going to happen in the future, you're not taking care of the present. So I'm going to ask us to take care of the present. So if you have any questions or future questions about that, you can call Trinity United Methodist Church, or you can even ask how you can contact the Imani Faith Health Initiative, because we do provide here chronic disease classes at Trinity United and mental health support groups. So you can ask those questions. In a minute, I'm going to turn the mic over to Dr. Pigney, and then she's going to talk about children, stress and anxiety, and then later we will kind of bat around what we can do and the implementations that we can have to help ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. I'm very happy to be with you today. Now that Dr. Lewis has spoke to you in reference to the adults, we have children within the household. How are they dealing with the stress and anxiety? It's not their stress and anxiety, it's the adult. The adult in the household passes that stress and anxiety on to their children. And we have to try not to do that. As a psychotherapist, I work with groups of children, mainly ADHD and autism. And in that case, you have a child that has a challenge to begin with. You don't know where your next paycheck is coming from because of this virus. You don't know when the college kids are going back to college. All of this stress and anxiety is passed on to your child or children within the home. At that point, we have to react, and you have to react the correct way. Mainly, number one, stop looking at the news. The news right now, there's nothing good on the news, so the best thing to do is to plan your day with activities. Activities such as family activities. If you feel anxiety, what you need to do is find a quiet place as a parent, by yourself. Calm down so you don't react on the children. It's very important because what happens, your stress, the anxiety is building up, you pass it on to your children, the children become stressed, they start fighting with each other or battling back and forth, and then your anxiety rises. And as Dr. Lewis said, when the anxiety rises, your reaction, you must monitor. Please monitor how you react to your children, your husband, the grandparents that might be in the home, so that everything will come out great, or at least even. I believe that as long as you have faith in the future and the Almighty, things will work out. And as a family, there's nothing better than faith within the family. So you structure your day. You structure the day for homework, school, prayer, being thankful for being here, and also getting connected with your family. Today I met with 6 young people from the ages of 10 to 18, I believe. And they said to me, Dr. Pinckney, this is the first time I really realized that my brother wanted to be an engineer. He didn't know. They hadn't taken time to ask each other. They now have to talk to each other. They now have to play with each other, do activities. He said, my brother never played Monopoly with me before. And he didn't realize that I could beat him. And he did. This is a time for prayer, getting the family together and making sure that your reaction does not interfere with the home life and your child. Because when this is over, you don't want any type of stigma to harm your child in the future. As Dr. Lewis said, you can contact Trinity United Methodist Church if you have additional questions. Dr. Lewis and I will be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. I've also provided a telephone number for the Harris County where if you're feeling stress, anxiety, you don't have children, you're living by yourself, you can call that hotline and just talk to someone. It could be about anything. That will ease the stress and anxiety in your life.
Okay, so I like the idea that you were looking at the family, the children responding to the family, and that is most certainly true. And you know what I found? That persons who have the highest anxiety are persons who have not developed a routine with their children in their home. So it seems like the first thing that we should ask people to do would be to identify their beliefs and see and ask the question, how am I practicing my beliefs with my children right now at this particular time?
And the main way of doing that is to write it down.
Yes.
Get a piece of paper or a board and just start at the top and name 1, this is what we're going to do when we get up in the morning. 2, this is what we're going to do.
Have a little calendar.
Right, have a calendar. Now, when I was speaking to the young people this morning, they said they're not getting a full day of work to do from the school. The average is 4 hours, and they have a week to complete it. So what they're doing is getting up in the morning and doing the complete 4 hours, and then they have the rest 3 or 4 days to do nothing. So you have to have a schedule.
So one of the things that's really excellent is for the parents as well, is to do what they do, is to do critical thinking and mind detoxing. And one of the things that's helpful is to have the children write a mindfulness journal. The things that they appreciate, the things that they're thankful for, and the things that they're worried about. And before they go to bed, they would also write something down that they thought about that day that made them happy. And this is for mom and dad as well as the children, so that it helps to detox the mind.
And one thing you need to also include in your journal, and that includes the parents and the children, what did you learn about each other that day? What did you learn about mom and dad that you didn't know? What did you learn about your brother and sister that you didn't know? Tell how close you're becoming. That is very important.
Another thing is to look at something, creativity. How can you help the family find a purpose together? How can you find meaning within the family? What is it that you really like about this family? What is it 10 years from the day that we're going to do? Some children are learning to can food. One of the things that we know is that our immune system is so related. So the children are learning how to eat at home and cook at home and how to prepare food. Matter of fact, we're getting ready to have a food prep class for families. And so right here. And so that's one of the things that is so helpful for the children to learn that together with the family.
Because they're not having that breakfast in the morning when they're going to school. They're running right out of the house. And you know, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. If you don't have that fuel going up to the brain first thing in the morning, if you have a test or need to do something, you don't have any fuel.
So I think learning to coordinate your body, learning how to develop your day from morning to end, learning how to get that balance and routine in our family. It's sort of like teaching your child to rewire themselves and their brain for the moment, for the situation that they're in.
And also do something for someone else. If you're living in an apartment building, you might have senior citizens that live in the building. Knock on their door. Just say hello. How are you?
6 feet.
6 and 3 feet away from each other, correct. But you don't know how you might have made their day just by saying hello. Or ask them, is there anything I can do for you? My mom is going to the store. Do you need some milk or water? A lot of children have never done anything for anybody else.
And it helps with that isolation, because right now with social distancing, we have an increase in depression because people are lonely. So I think we need to email everybody. And you know how your parents called to ask how you were doing or someone was doing and ask about another person? Did you hear from Sister Jane? So we need to also include other people in our group and get reconnected. So I'm going to say my summary statement is going to be, it's not the circumstances that we meet. It is the manner in which we respond to the circumstances that determines our health, our happiness, and our success.